Is Nick Pivetta about to go on a dominant run for the Boston Red Sox? Past history has indicated that he might after he's had a couple solid starts recently.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and currently the host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part is it is free. Who doesn't love free? I mean, you have no reason not to check it out. It's a show where your emotions are truly felt and relatable. That is Locked On Red Sox, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code LockedOnMLB, all lowercase, for a first deposit match up to $100. Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Those of you who tune in every day, really appreciate you being everydayers and going along for the ride with me. This year's Red Sox team is the best team in the entire world at being 500 and being average. I mean, whenever they slip under 500, they win, get themselves back to 500, get the fans a little bit excited. Then they maybe go a couple games over 500 and then slip back down. It's just been a constant pattern all season long of lingering between a little bit over 500, a little bit below 500, and right at that even mark. So an average baseball team, but some players have certainly been above average this year. And one of those players that's certainly worth talking about is Nick Pivetta. The Red Sox came off of a big win on Wednesday against the Braves. They won 9-0. So the bats really showed up. It was a game in which Rafael Devers crushed 2 home runs to continue what has been a phenomenal season so far for him. Jamie Westbrook got his first major league hit with the Red Sox, which was really exciting. He came in to pinch hit for Enmanuel Valdez, and he did record a base hit. So that was a cool experience for him. So I'm really happy for him. And Valdez, too, just continues to crush the baseball since being called back up to the majors. He also got a hit in the game. So lots of offensive productivity, 2 hits from Jarren Duran, Tyler O'Neill, and Dominic Smith. So lots of people contributing to just the uproar of offense the Red Sox brought. But Nick Pivetta certainly was one of the biggest storylines of that game in what was probably his best start of the year. 7 innings, gave up just 1 hit, and struck out 9 batters. I mean, talk about elite. And this Braves offense is very good, super talented, lots of all-star caliber players on there. And the fact that Pivetta and the rest of the Red Sox pitching staff that day held them to just 1 hit on the entire afternoon is something worth significantly noting. And Nick Pivetta, for sure, deserves his flowers for his ability to pitch pretty consistently at a high level this season. He has a 3.40 ERA right now. In terms of earned runs, he has had a couple starts that were rough for him. On May 8th at the Braves, he gave up 5 earned runs. And then on May 25th versus the Brewers, he also gave up 5 earned runs. So it was nice to see him bounce back against the Braves in this game, a completely different version of Pivetta than we saw against the Braves last time. They were all over him in that start. And in that start, he only went 4 innings, whereas he went 7 innings on Wednesday. So very key that he was able to get himself through that many innings and talk about just super clean baseball being played. And we've seen patterns with Pivetta before where he's had a couple really good starts, and then he just goes on an absolute tear of pitching very well. In his last start before the Braves game, he threw against the Tigers 5.1 innings with 3 hits and 2 earned runs given up. He struck out 9 and did tie Roger Clemens' record for 8 consecutive strikeouts in that game. So he is racking up the strikeouts a lot this year. And early on, he had a couple great starts. He only gave up 1 earned run on March 29th at the Mariners, and then on April 3rd at the A's, he gave up 0 earned runs. So he was at a .82 ERA, and then his ERA kind of got skewed because of that start at the Braves. But generally, he's been pretty consistent, keeping it to 1 or 2 earned runs given up per start. And that's the type of starter I want on my team. And the biggest thing is his pitch selection has been very good this year. He's mixing up the variety of pitches he's using. He has a 4-seamer that he's using 49.1% of the time. His sweeper he uses 23.6% of the time. Curveball 12.6% of the time. Cutter 9.7% of the time. And a slider 4.9% of the time. So he is not really going to that slider a lot, but every once in a while he throws it in there. So the fact that he has a 5-pitch arsenal that he's throwing has been really a key to his success this season. And he's mixing in that sweeper quite a bit. And that's something that's really important to note, because the best pitchers mix in a lot of different pitches when they're starting. And we've seen Pivetta just grow a lot over the last few years in terms of his pitching ability and what he's using when, and the fact that he's been able to develop more pitches to utilize is only going to make him continue to grow moving forward. And another good thing about Pivetta that he's been doing super effectively this year is limiting the walks relative to the strikeouts. So in the 2024 season so far, he has a K percentage of 30% and a walk percentage of 5%, which is very good. And it's one of those things where you look at a pitcher like him and you see that the Red Sox as a whole have had problems with walks in the past, and he certainly has had his fair share of walks given up last year and the year before. So then you think about how far he's come in terms of his ability to limit the walks, and it's consistently helped in his development a lot. He's only averaging 1.78 walks per 9 right now, as opposed to 10.7 strikeouts per 9. So he is not putting a lot of guys on. He has good grasp of the strike zone, and he's able to keep himself in command a lot of the time. Another statistic that stands out is he has an 81.4% left on base percentage. So if there's base traffic, he's still pitching well. That's a really important thing to note, because sometimes pitchers tend to fold when they have traffic on the base paths and they don't pitch as effectively. And then they get into this mode of kind of falling apart because there are runners on base and it stresses them out, and then they give up a lot of runs. So Pivetta's not allowing a lot of runs to score when there's base traffic, and that's been huge. And you see guys like Brayan Bello, who gives up the long ball a decent amount, and it seems to be a lot of the times when there's runners on base, and it creates a hole for him that's hard for him to dig out of. So Pivetta, and the fact that he limits that and he doesn't get into as much trouble from that standpoint. If he gives up a run or two, it still keeps his team very much in the game the majority of the time. So I really like what I'm seeing from him this year. He is in the 87th percentile for walk percentage, 88th percentile for K percentage. Hard hit percentage is a 65th percentile for him. Fastball velo, 56th percentile, definitely could do a little bit better in that regard. But overall, he has good numbers this year. I really like that he's utilizing that sweeper and finding a way to mix it into his pitch arsenal to keep opposing hitters on their toes, because he's definitely able to fool guys when it comes to the pitches in his resume and the way that he's mixing them up. So do we see Pivetta go on a dominant run? I think it's very possible. It seems like he's locked in now, and we were wondering early on if he was going to be able to adjust back to being a starter seamlessly because he was so good out of the bullpen for the Red Sox last year. So I wondered if bullpen Pivetta was just going to be better overall than Pivetta as a starter. But so far, he's done pretty well as a starter this year, and he's only had 2 real bumps in the road so far. So I feel like we're going to see a lot more of dominant Nick Pivetta moving forward. He looks comfortable out there. He's able to generate swings and misses, and if you can strike guys out, you're going to be able to be successful at this level. So I'm looking forward to continuing to watch him pitch because of the fact that he has so much ability and so much left in the tank. So I think we can expect some good stuff from him moving forward. Coming up, it's that time already. The All-Star ballot is here, and some of your favorite Red Sox players are on there. So we're going to be talking about all the players that have a chance to be seen in that All-Star game for Boston. I know that finding the right life insurance policy can be beyond stressful, especially when so much of what happens in life can be unpredictable. So you want to make sure you have the right fit so that it can give you peace of mind. With Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options are 100% online and let you avoid unnecessary medical exams. Using Policygenius is a great resource because it can help you easily compare your options from America's top insurers in just a few clicks. Their award-winning agents can even walk you through the process step by step. Get peace of mind by finding the right life insurance with Policygenius. Head to Policygenius.com or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's Policygenius.com. You don't want to mess with something like that. You really want to make sure you have the right plan for you. So Policygenius is the best resource. Also, you can check out Locked On Sports today if you're watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day, and especially if you have to find yourself turning down the volume with all of that shouting. So you can make the switch today to a free 24/7 sports streaming channel that's programmed for you every day to bring you the stories, except without all the screaming that you hear. So you can stream Locked On Sports today on YouTube or on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. So make sure you check that out today. All-Star season is here. Believe it or not, the MLB All-Star game is right around the corner. Is it just me, or is this season flying by so far? I mean, I feel like I was just sitting here talking about opening day, and now all of a sudden the Red Sox have 100 games left in a season, which I know is a lot, but it doesn't feel like a lot in the grand scheme of things because the season always flies by. So as we're starting to think about the All-Star game, some of your favorite Red Sox players are on the ballot. The first one being Connor Wong. Now, he has had a phenomenal season both at the plate and behind it. He's currently batting over 300 still, and who would have expected him to be batting over 300 as a catcher, especially because of the year he had last year? And he didn't have a bad year at the plate last year by any means, but certainly not to the level that we would expect from him if he were to be one of the best hitters in the Red Sox lineup. Like, for example, if Rafael Devers had the season last year that he had, he would get ripped apart. We just don't have as many expectations for Connor Wong to be as effective as a hitter. And so the fact that he is this year is surprising a lot of people in a positive way. And I do feel like when you think about all-star voting, you have to think about the impact that the players make all around, not just in one aspect of their game. And the fact that Connor Wong is making an impact both as a defensive catcher and offensively, and is one of the most consistent hitters in the Red Sox lineup, he really should be considered. All of those base runners that he's tagging out and throwing out, and all of the offensive opportunities in which he's come up to the plate and recorded a big hit to come through for the Red Sox, and all of the athleticism that he's been able to show, stealing some bases himself, and just has a great read on the game. So when you look at the overall impact he's made for this Red Sox team, he definitely has been a difference maker in that he's been able to impact the Red Sox performance in more ways than one. The next Red Sox player who is up for grabs is Triston Casas. Now, it's definitely unfortunate that Casas got injured. He did speak during the Red Sox broadcast on Wednesday during the afternoon game and said that he's aiming to be back in full action by July 1st. And that's only a few weeks away now. So if all goes as planned for him, that would be his target date to come back and be able to be back with this Red Sox lineup. And he was hitting well prior. I mean, he had a 244 average prior to going on the IL. Right now, he has 19 hits, 10 RBIs, 12 walks, 26 strikeouts, and 6 home runs. I expect his numbers to continue to grow pretty quickly once he returns to the team. And my only worry, though, is that he's been injured for a while and other players are getting a chance to continue to compete and improve their numbers and show that they belong in the All-Star game. So I feel like he won't end up getting voted an all-star unless he comes back on July 1st and is just a complete menace to tear things up. But I don't see it right now just because of the fact that he has missed a good chunk of this season. So people might not put him in their votes. Next Red Sox player up is Vaughn Grissom. Now, this one I thought was interesting because he really hasn't had remarkable numbers at all. He's batting 148 right now, and he's really struggled to find his place since coming up to the Red Sox. 0 home runs, 19 strikeouts, 5 walks, 12 hits, and 3 RBIs. He definitely needs to get those numbers up a lot if he wants a chance at the All-Star game. And I'm not faulting Grissom completely, especially because of the fact that he didn't have a full spring training like a lot of other players did, because he did experience an injury during the spring, which kept him sidelined. And then when he was ready to come back, he got the flu. So by the time he actually came back, he had been removed from the live game for a while. So I feel like him being in a rut right now isn't overly surprising, but it's also something that for sure should keep him off the All-Star team, just because of the fact that he really hasn't done enough to show that he should be there this year. And I have no doubt that he has the potential to turn into a great player for this Boston Red Sox team down the road. I just don't necessarily think that right now is an all-star caliber year for him. So Vaughn Grissom, I'm thinking, won't end up on the team, but somebody who for sure should absolutely be in the All-Star game, no question, is Rafael Devers. I mean, goes without saying, again, 2 home runs in Wednesday's game against the Braves, 288 average right now, 55 hits, 32 RBIs, 27 walks, 51 strikeouts, and 13 home runs. He also has a stolen base on the year. Yes, he does need to continue to show off that power and continue to hit when he can, but it's hard to argue that Devers should be left off the ballot. He's just too impactful to his team, and he's somebody who deserves to be there for that game and contribute, because he's having a very good season once again. He's able to do a lot of different things, and his defense has definitely been better this year than what we've seen from him in the past generally. So there's not really a question to me that Devers should be there. Still is the best player on the team, as he should be, because he just signed that big contract extension. So let's hope Devers gets on. Cedar Rafaela is an interesting one. I did a segment on the show the other day in which I said I felt like he got snubbed of American League Rookie of the Month. He's woken up a lot at the plate. He's batting 202 right now, but he has been able to improve his numbers a little bit at the plate. He had a 2-homer game on May 31st against the Tigers, and he's recording hits. He actually has 42 hits on the season and 33 RBIs. He is at the top of the Red Sox and of rookies with RBIs, so that should be telling. And his defense speaks for itself. I mean, he's made so many phenomenal plays in the outfield that most normal outfielders do not make. So that definitely has to be considered in this All-Star voting too. The outfield talent is very stacked, and I think if he did get voted in, it would be for the outfield and not the infield, because he really has excelled a lot in the outfield this year. But I do feel like there are a lot of good outfielders in the mix, so he might end up not getting that opportunity this year, but he is only a rookie, so he has a lot of time left to prove himself and be able to land a spot on the All-Star team. So I'm thinking, because of the fact that he started off the season a little bit slow at the plate and there are a lot of other talented outfielders, I don't see him landing a spot. Jarren Duran as well deserves to be on the All-Star team. 261 average right now. He has 66 hits, 25 RBIs, 22 walks, and 64 strikeouts to go with 4 home runs. He's not a home run heavy hitter, but he does drive in a lot of runs, and he scores a lot of runs because of his consistent base running talent. And for his speed alone, he's going to be a desirable player for the All-Star game. And he definitely has the bat to be able to compete. My question just is he good enough because of, again, the talented outfield class that we could see in this All-Star game? So I don't know that what he's doing is enough, but I do think he has a better shot than maybe some other guys due to his speed and his versatility and being able to make a lot of different things happen on the field. So Jarren Duran, definitely somebody I hope to see out there, but wouldn't be surprised if he is not. Wilyer Abreu, another guy on the list who is a very talented player, and he's having a heck of a season. I mean, 272 average, 46 hits, 22 RBIs, 19 walks, 49 strikeouts, 6 home runs. He is driving in runs. He is making a lot of contact at the plate, and he also has made some nice plays defensively. And Tristan Casas was talking about him on the broadcast the other day too, and just how he is making significant waves this year as a rookie, and Casas thinks he should be the favorite for Rookie of the Year. I think he definitely has a shot to make the All-Star team. I would say out of all the outfielders that I've talked about so far, I would say he has the best shot due to the splash that he's making this year in his first full season with this team. So I'd be interested in seeing that. The flip side of that is there are, again, lots of talented outfielders who could overstep him and be on this All-Star team, and we see him be left out. But either way, if Abreu does not make it, it doesn't take away from the season that he's having, because it's been phenomenal, and I think he deserves it. Tyler O'Neill definitely is a bit of a surprising one. 243 average right now with 37 hits, 18 RBIs, 22 walks, 59 strikeouts, and 11 home runs. His home runs are definitely something that is keeping him on this ballot right now, but because he's experienced some injuries and hasn't played in as many games as some other guys, I think that alone is going to hurt him. And he also hasn't been crazy good after the month of April. He had a big month in the first month, but since then, he hasn't been super impressive at the plate, and I think that's something that's going to negatively impact him and his abilities to be on the All-Star team. But I like Tyler O'Neill in terms of his productivity and as an addition to this Red Sox team. I just don't think that he'll make the All-Star game because of the injuries and the fact that he hasn't performed up to par with what people might want to see from him as the season has gone on since the first month. So I'm not seeing him be there, but maybe he will be. Masataka Yoshida is the last one, who actually was starting to hit well before he got injured. He had a 275 average prior to going on the IL with 22 hits, 11 RBIs, 6 walks, 11 strikeouts, and 2 home runs. He started off very slow to start the season, was trying to figure things out, but was starting to heat up, and having that 275 average definitely gave him some promise. As a DH, he automatically isn't going to make as much of an impact as a guy who plays in the field also and is making good defensive plays. So because he's a DH and he has been injured, I don't really see him being there because of the fact that there are other designated hitters in the league who have put up more impressive offensive numbers and have played in more games. So I was a little bit surprised to even see him on the list, but I would love to see any Red Sox players get in. I think from a pitching standpoint, too, Tanner Houck deserves to be there with the season he's having. So quite a few Red Sox players who have a chance, others not so much, but I'd love to see a couple Red Sox players here in the All-Star game. So vote for your favorite players. Coming up, the Red Sox have yet another injury on this team because it seems like it's just one thing after another with this team. So I'm going to be talking about that next. Do you love playing fantasy sports? I know I do. It's a great way to make lots of money and stay involved with everything going on in sports. Prize Picks is the place for you. It's America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It is the most fun, exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. With Prize Picks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a Prize Picks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections and you're locked in. If you're looking for promotions, Prize Picks has got you covered every week. From lowering select player stats projections on Tuesdays, which increases your chance of getting a win, to getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's a first deposit match up to $100 if you download Prize Picks today. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. It's Prize Picks. Simple. You heard it right there. So check it out today to win lots of money. Also, this is a reminder to check out Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app, as our network has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. So if you're looking for a way to stay caught up in everything, Locked On Sports Today is the place for you. Another player to the injured list for the Boston Red Sox in Chris Martin. The Red Sox placed him on the 15-day IL on Wednesday due to anxiety. He's 38 years old, and he told the team about his anxiety over the weekend. The move was actually retroactive to Sunday. He had last pitched on May 30th against the Tigers, giving up 4 hits, including 2 home runs and 3 earned runs in 1 inning of work. He currently has a 4.22 ERA in 21 appearances this season. And Craig Breslow basically explained that it felt like he was manifesting in some physical ways that were keeping him from competing at the level that he's used to in terms of fatigue and energy and recovery and sleep and some of the routine things that you have to do to take care of yourself. So Breslow does believe the time on the IL will help Martin return to the roster at full health. And it's important to recognize and applaud him for being willing to speak up and confront that challenge head on, because that's not an easy thing to do. And it's great that he's taking the time for himself and his mental health, because that's something that's so important. And when you're a professional athlete, there can be a ton of pressure on you to perform at all times. And the fact that he's looking out for himself here is fantastic. And the Red Sox are willing to let him take the time that he needs. And they're hoping that he could come back and be the best pitcher that he can be. So the Red Sox are waiting for him to come back. He has a 3.42 ERA and 345 career games spanning 11 years with a variety of different teams. Had a great season in Boston last year, and we're hoping that when he comes back from the IL, he can bounce back and be better than ever. So to fill Martin's spot on the roster, the Red Sox recalled right-hander Zack from AAA Worcester, who did actually pitch in the game on Wednesday against the Braves and looked good. 1 inning with 0 earned runs and 2 strikeouts. So he meant business that day, looked very good, and that's good for him because Kelly was somebody who was starting to struggle a little bit. So the Red Sox had sent him back down to AAA after he was up in the majors. So hopefully he's able to pitch well in his time here, but clearly it's a temporary thing. The Red Sox don't see him as a longer term pitcher who could be trusted to make a deep impact on the team, but he is somebody who has shown his ability to pitch really well. So I'm hoping that as a placeholder for Chris Martin, he could be very good and be a good piece out of the pen. The Red Sox just have so many players on the injured list now between Chris Martin, Tristan Casas, Masataka Yoshida, Romy Gonzalez, Isaiah Campbell, Trevor Story, Vaughn Grissom, Lucas Giolito, Garrett Whitlock, Liam Hendricks. All of these guys who have injuries and have seen themselves not be able to play at all this season or play a little bit and then got injured. But either way, it's definitely frustrating for the Red Sox because they just can't stay healthy. And all I want is for a fully healthy baseball team. And that's just not going to happen this year because unfortunately there are a couple players who won't be playing at all. But I do like the fact that it's very much been that next man up mentality. Wilyer Abreu is another player who's been on the IL but was very impactful for this Red Sox team this year. So could really use him back soon, but the Red Sox are staying afloat. They're finding ways to win games, and the fact that they are at 500, I want to remind you again that that is pretty impressive for the fact that they keep losing players to injury. And I do wonder why that's happening. Obviously, it's baseball. Injuries do happen. They are part of the game, but it's kind of sad that it just keeps piling up for this Red Sox team because they haven't really gotten a fair shot to showcase what they could do if they were fully healthy. And I have a feeling that they would be putting up much more competitive results if they were fully healthy because there is talent on this team. And we've seen it in multiple situations this season, and they beat themselves a lot of times with the errors, and that's something they absolutely need to continue to fix. But guys are getting opportunities, and they're embracing them. Even David Hamilton hopefully is going to start to build up some confidence too, and Valdez smashing since he's been back up. So there are younger guys who are starting to blossom, and they're getting playing time, and that's definitely never a bad thing. But it's definitely a little bit difficult of a pill to swallow, knowing that the Red Sox haven't been able to physically be at the point where they are at their best so they can showcase really truly what they can do. So hopefully they'll start to get healthier and healthier, but the problem is as they get healthy, they need other players to stay healthy so that it's not just a consistent revolving door of somebody coming back and then somebody else getting injured, because that's where it definitely gets pretty irritating in terms of getting excited for somebody to come back and then realizing, oh, well, he came back, but now he's injured, so it's a bittersweet situation. So the Red Sox definitely do need to stay healthy. Whatever's going on in that clubhouse, whoever cursed this Red Sox team, please stop, because I just want to see them be able to play with their best players out there. And even some of these other guys who have been placeholders in the meantime, I'm glad they're able to gain some experience because that's the future. Those guys are the future, and the way that they are performing now could be a good indication for where this Red Sox team is at moving forward. So we'll see what happens. Red Sox are about to be battle tested with some tough matchups in the Phillies and Yankees, the teams with the two best records in baseball, coming to Fenway Park to play the Red Sox. So they've got to win games. They've got to figure out how to beat some of these more competitive teams if they want to be able to stay in the mix. So those two series especially are going to be a big test for this Red Sox team, and it would be very much ideal if they were healthy for those series so that we could really see how they match up and that the conversation isn't, well, these players were injured, so we didn't really get to show what we could fully do. I want to know what we can fully do against the best teams in the league right now. So hopefully they're able to win some of those games. But as always, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.